Hello, my name is Lisa Bush, and I'd like to welcome everybody to the Assist Report Designer webinar. I am recording this, so if you want to watch it later on. I also have another session on August 1st, I believe at the same time. And I want to thank you for participating. I also wanted to let you know that everybody is on mute. However, you can send questions by chatting with me, and I'll stay on at the end and answer questions for as many people that have questions. So I'd like to welcome you to the webinar, and let's take a look at the new report designer. So let's take a look at what we're going to cover today. First of all, this new tool is going to allow you to create new reports. And you're going to be able to pull from all the different data fields starting out with the financials. We're then going to roll it to utility billing, and then the general government modules, which will cover tax billing, permits, code enforcement, all of those areas. And the last area will be courts and public safety. But our goal is to roll this out completely by the end of the year. So as I mentioned, you're going to be, let me see, I do have a question here. So yeah, we are going to allow you to copy existing reports. The report designer will come with some sample reports so that you can take those and modify them. And a lot of those will come from the base software, and we'll be adding those as we do updates to the system, and then also, changing existing reports. Now, what's really nice about this solution is we're going to give you access to all the data elements. It's going to be easy to drag and drop these fields to create any new report. So if you can see the data fields in the software, once we get into the report designer, you're going to see how easy it is to drag and drop to create, reports or files. So it is really easy. You can do very complex reports, but you can also do really simple reports. The next thing that I really like about the solution is we're giving you the ability to add drill down in the reports. So you can take a part of the report and actually drill down and get more information, similar to how we do it in the software inquiries, but now you're going to be able to add that functionality to your report. So we'll take a look at one of those examples as well. Also, you may be worried about, staff that use payroll versus utility billing. You're going to be able to lock down the security so that if an employee doesn't have access to payroll, but maybe they do utility billing, they can still use the tool, but they can access just the applications that they have permissions to. So you can lock it down based on the security that you've set up in the software. And then you can also combine reports. So you can even have sub-reports. So instead of having to look at two different reports, there's ways to link those together. So it really enhances our ability to create new reports. And as I mentioned, we're going to focus today on looking at some of the data fields in the financial area. But by the end of this quarter, we're going to have the financials and utility billing available for release. We're currently doing, we've got test groups on the financials, and we'll be adding those on utility billing. And so with that, let's go ahead and take a look at the software. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to log on to a server that I've got set up here. And the difference is with the new release of the software, you're going to see a new button on your Assist main screen. So it's going to be part of the Assist software. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the report designer, and that's going to bring up the application. So depending on what your security is, when you log on, you're going to be able to see your reports. So they're going to be organized. You're going to be able to even set up favorites so that those are at the top of the list. And then we're going to break them down by product. So, under the financials, starting out, we'll have reports for accounts payable, AR, cash receipts, fixed assets, general ledger, payroll, projects, and purchase orders. So those data fields will be available. And the ones that if you mark it with the little star, that's going to be your favorite, but they can be at the top. When you create new reports, you're going to be able to give it a name and a description, even the date that you created it. So you're going to know what's behind that. And here's the feature that I like. Let's say you want to find a report and the only thing you know is the word vendor is in it. You can search by keyword. So I'm sure by the time you've used this for a couple of years, you're going to have a really long list of different reports available. So let's take a look at a couple examples. One is, here's an example where if I wanted to take this report, I could either just look at it, I could add a new one, I could edit this report, or I could delete this report. I want to go ahead and let's take a look at this example. And when you start creating your new reports, you're going to be able to define different parameters. So though, you can have ways to filter those reports. So here's one that we've already set up, and I'm just going to select all these vendors. And this is an example, once we bring it to the screen, where we've added the ability to drill down to the detail. And you can have an icon here so that you can push behind this. This is an example of year-to-date purchases, but if I want to see the journal entry, I can see the journal entry that created this. So that's a drill down in the reports, and once we get into the designer, we'll take a look at that. Now, here's a couple of other things you can do. On the reports, you've got the option to find. So let's say I want to find, let's see, the word fuel. And I can go ahead and press enter, and it can find words within your report. So that is available. In addition, all of the reports, you're going to be able to create any type of file format. So, it's going to strip out all of the headers and footers, and you can just get data. But you can do PDFs, you can do Excel files, all sorts of different file formats, so that you might even want to create a file that you send to somebody based on using the report designer. So that tool is available. You can also do watermarks, different colors. So lots of things you can do. If you notice on this report that we designed, I also had logos, so you can put your crest there, or change the fonts or the colors. So lots of things to pretty up those different reports. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of this. So once again, this gives you an idea of, the different types of things that you can do. You might want to take our existing statement of revenues and expenditure, which is exactly the way it is in the general ledger, and you might want to modify it. So you could edit that report and maybe change the column. So I have a feeling, though, most of your time is going to be in creating new ones. So let's take a look at the designer itself. So I'm going to do add. So now the first thing that I want to do is this a new report? Am I going to copy off an existing one? So I'm going to say new, and I'm going to call it payroll test. Now, I can also give it a description so that when I see that long list, I kind of know what's in this report. So I'm going to say test payroll. Now, the next question is, which application are you going to be reporting? So in this example, I'm going to say payroll, but it would have the applications that you have access to. So if you're a financial person and a utility billing person, you would see those modules, and vice versa. So let's say payroll. And then the next question is, well, how do you want to report on? Do you want to look at it from employee data or actual payroll run data? And I'm going to say employee. And once again, if I didn't have permission, it wouldn't give me access to this. And in just a second, it's going to bring up a blank screen. So think of this, as a work of art. It's a blank canvas that you're going to be able to do a lot of different things. One is, on the left-hand side, here are all these standard features, such as I can drag and put a picture over here. Here's that little drill down. So if I want to add that capability where I can have drill down behind it, I can put charts in here very easily. I can put a sparkle line, tables. So I'm able to do lots of different things. I've got a question from the audience. Let's see here. Chat. Yes. You are able to select payroll and project, but I think they're going to be two different reports. But and that was from Cecile. Now, also, let's go ahead and on the right-hand side over here, these are the fields that you've seen in the database. So if you've seen it in the software, you're now going to have access to it that you can literally drag and drop over here to the side. So these are all the data fields. So if I was creating a report, probably the first thing I might want to do is I might want to, let's give it a name, or maybe the name of my organization, City of Progress. Now I can change the font. I can center it. I can make it bold. All those things that you can do in Windows. And I might want to, give it a name. And I'm going to drop that down here. I'm going to say payroll report. And I might even want to put a picture over here. And this would be where you would come down here and you would have your logo, and you would just search, wherever you've got files on your hard drive, and you will search and select that field. So it's just a matter of searching for that image and then importing it in. So very easy to do that. Now, the important thing is kind of the meat of the report, and that's here in the middle. And that's where, maybe I want to do a report, and the one thing I want to do is, maybe I want to have last name. So I can stick that right here. So there's the last name. Now I would probably want to give it a label so that I know what that means. So you simply just say last name. Now, the other thing I might want to do is I might want to pull in maybe their department. So I can stick that right here. And so once again, I'll probably want to, give it a name. And let's say, maybe I want to know their classification. So think about all the different things, and I might even want to know, their EEO class. So I'd probably add a couple of labels to that as well. And let's drag one more little label over here. Now, I might want to know things like, year-to-date payroll totals. So these all expand. And you can also, if you know you're doing like 3 or 4 fields, you can grab the 4 and drag them all over at the same time. They're aligned. I might want to get in here, and maybe on this report, I just need to know year-to-date net. Maybe that's something that I might want to know, year-to-date net pay. And once again, I'd probably, maybe I want to make this a little bigger. I can easily do that. And let's do a label. Now, if there's anybody in the audience that maybe you use just utility billing or just tax billing, it's going to be the same. It's going to be all the fields in the utility or the tax or accounts payable where you're able to drag and drop. You're able to, if I want to bold this, I can very easily bold it, make it stand out a little bit better. You can do totals, you can do really fancy calculations, but if you just need like a simple little listing, you can do this without any training. I mean, you can just kind of drag and drop. You can even do different sorts. Maybe I want to sort this by, let's say maybe department. Yeah, here's department. That would be a way that I might want to sort this report. So what you can do, you can take a look at it, and if you want to run it, you simply just come here and preview. And there it is. So, I haven't uploaded my image, but you can kind of get the idea how you've got access to all the fields. You can do calculated reports, but if you just need simple little things, you can easily do that as well. If you want to go back to the designer, there's other things you can change on, if what you want in the footer, charts and graphs. but like this is our tool that we're hoping that, with this tool that you're going to be able to see the flexibility of being able to grab those fields and create any kind of report that you would like to. And then you can, save it so that, other team members can have access to the reports that you create. You can decide ones that they can't see, but this gives you the ability as you look, you can expand all of these different fields that you'll see that you've seen in the software, you're going to be able to see here as well. And something else that's kind of neat, if you want to do like a barcode, maybe you're using our fixed asset software and you've got barcode readers, you can just the asset number and say barcode. And so I know on our fixed asset application, it's kind of limited reports and you've got a lot of really good fields. This tool is going to be perfect for that. Any questions from the audience? I know I had one from Cecile. Any other questions? Does this look like something that would be beneficial to you? Okay, Cecile likes it. Like I said, you can do very complex reports. We're also going to be able to have like, down the road, maybe a library of other reports that other clients have done, like a subscription type thing. But, and also, let's say that you've got a report that you want to do that's maybe kind of complicated where you're linking tables and you've got calculations. It's going to be easier for us to do this for you as a custom with this tool than having us write it from scratch. So probably going forward as we start doing, if you've got this tool and you want us to do custom reports, we can certainly do that. We're going to also provide a go live training. We can do individual training, or we'll have, group trainings available so that it can be as easy to use or as complex. If you're used to doing those complex reports, obviously I'm not, mine are pretty straightforward. Yeah, there was a question, can you sort by more than one type of department or name? I believe you can have multiple sorts within the application. We actually, you can have different parameters so that, you may want to filter before you get to the data is one way, or you can have sorts, with the application, but we can do very, very complex reports because we've recreated some of our reports, our standard reports using this tool, and they'll come standard. A question from the field, could you create a report with the module of animal license with the name of the owner license, number, dog tag, and property address? Yeah, if all those elements are currently in that application, you could pull all those data fields over to a report. And remember, you can create a file. And there's another question. What's the property grid in the right bottom corner? This is where you can have different fonts. Like if you're pulling in the graphics, background colors, border colors, to the actual report. So it's kind of like doing a painting where you can, I want to have maybe a blue border or, bolded, or, where you want your page breaks, things like that. So that would be down here in the property grid. But up here in the field list, like I said, we have taken all of the data fields for the different products and put them on the right-hand side so that you have access to them, and also the hierarchy so that you can see, you couldn't pull something here and pull something from the top so that they all work together. And if you try to run a report where the data doesn't have like a match, it's going to let you know. Also, when you do licenses, you can certainly call support and ask questions, and they can, kind of guide you through, any questions that you have on the product. But we can also, if you want a really complex report, we could do that one for you, but it would be considerably less than us doing it from scratch. Okay, here's another question. It says, right, we need to access different databases, so this will simplify land management or master directory and animal license. Yeah, it should. It should give you the ability to pull those information, into one, because we'll be providing those fields to you. Any other questions? Like I said, our goal is by, probably in the next 4 weeks, we're going to have the accounting and utility billing available. And the way that you license it, we're going to actually have 4 report designers, one for just the from financials, and then also one for utility billing, general government, and courts and public safety. And it looks like I have another question here. Oh, and then there was a question on when will it be available and how much does it cost? We'll be releasing that. We can go ahead and send you a quote. I believe US is $295 and Canada is $395 plus support. There's also a question is when a report is set up on one computer, will it be available across the network? Yes, so if you've created reports, those can be in other people's library or you can restrict those. Any other questions? I think I've gotten through most of the questions. Oh, I did, Karen. Karen had a question. Can you sort more than one type of department or name? Any other questions from the audience? If you do, if you've seen what, if you like what you've seen today and you would like for your sales rep to send you a quote, you can email me at Lisa, Lisa dot Bush at Aptean, APTEAN.com. We're real excited about this. If there's one thing we've heard from our customers is, hey, we want to get more reports. And we think this is an easy way to do it. And it's going to be easy for us to do customs and giving you easy access to all those data fields because there's so much good information in the systems that we provide. Oh, here's another question. Would it be able to do a payroll report which shows all the information by one employee by payroll, i.e. total pay, deduction, both employee and employer portions? Yeah, because those data fields, you might want to have a filter by, a specific employee and then do that information. So I would probably use the parameters if you're wanting to filter out, like you saw on that first report where I did year and I could select certain vendors. Absolutely. There was a question, can you sum up columns or do other types of calculations? Yes. As I mentioned earlier, we recreated our statement of revenues and expenditure, which has lots of subtotals and sorts. So you can do all sorts of calculations in the system. So it can be very complex and do that, or simple like what I did. Any other questions? So I think I've answered all of these live. Let me just make sure I haven't missed anybody. Oh, I have another raised hand. Okay, let's see, Cecile. Let's see if I can see your question down here. Let's see. Okay, I'm not seeing the last two questions. Are there any other questions? Okay, looks like. Okay, one thing I also wanted to point out, feel free to call me on my direct line if you do have questions or want to learn more. It is 972-830-3401. If you do have any other questions, I'll be happy to answer those. And I'm going to have another webinar on August 1st. And I have recorded this, but feel free to give me a call or drop me an email if you have any questions. So I think this is going to be a product that is really going to work for everybody. But I certainly do thank you for your time today. Oh, here's some more questions. Okay. Can we set up reports to send via email? I believe I don't think it's not going to automatically email. Here's a question from Kelly. Will there be additional training offered in how to create reports in Report Designer? Yes. We're going to have training a couple of different ways. One is we're going to, have go lives one-on-one with you. And then another one is we'll be able to do like training sessions with multiple people in the group to answer those questions under training. So yes. Okay, here's a question from Shelley. Can you show us a sample to complete the sample report showing the subtotals? I do have a sample in here where we've got subtotals because we've actually got the statement of revenues and expenditure. I'm not going to be able to create one with that, but I can definitely show you the subtotals. And then there's a question from Debbie. When will the utility billing be available? That's going to be available at the same time the financials. So in like 4 weeks, we're going to be releasing utility billing and the financials. Okay, and then here's a question from Suzanne. Do you foresee being able to use this report builder to reflect my budget spreadsheets? Yes. I had a couple examples where we've done charts and graphs. So, that could be a table that you could put in here to display that. So it really opens up a lot of options on creating those type of, budget comparison type reports or dashboard type things because you've got the data and this tool over here is going to let you graph it. Oh, question from Dan. When will this be available on USTI Connect? Dan, I'm actually connected to our server on Connect. So whenever it's available for, all the products, you can license it for Connect. So that'll be easy for us to do. And I'm actually, the server that I'm logged on to is here. I'm in Kentucky and I'm on a server. I think it's in Montreal. And then a question from Heather, ETA for tax. Tax is going to be the third one. So I'm thinking probably like September. I know we're going to do them all by the end of the year. So that's my guess on that. Any other questions? I think that's the last one. But like I said, I'll be happy to stay on the line if there are any other questions. Let me just make sure I'm not seeing any hands raised. Because sometimes it takes a while for those little questions to come to me. So I'm sorry there was a little bit of a delay. Oh, there's another raised hand. Let's see when it hits my dashboard. Okay, it still hasn't yet. Still waiting. I've gone through all these questions. Heather's was the last. Oh, Julie, what was the fee you had mentioned for utility billing? They're going to each be the same price. I believe U.S. is a one-time license fee of $295, Canada's $395 plus the standard support. And like I said, if anybody wants, an official quote from your sales rep, certainly drop me an email and I'll make sure that they get that to you. And Amy, are you limited to the amount of columns you add? Amy, I'm not 100% sure. I think it might be just on the space of the report. At some point, I think you run out of real estate, but I can check with the development team and ask them. I'm not 100% sure on that. So let me just, Amy on columns. Okay, anybody else? Done that one. That's done. Oh, what is my email address? It is Lisa, Lisa, .bush, B-U-S-H, at Aptean, APTEAN.com. And that was from Sandy, and Dan wanted to know my email address. Any other questions? We had a big group today. Oh, it looks like there's one more question. Okay, print to 11 by 17. Yeah, I don't think there's any issue on its standard Windows print. So I believe you're going to be able to print to any size paper, which would give you more room for columns. But yeah, we had over 40 participants today, so that's a pretty big size. Oh, here's another question. Amy, it's a comment. This looks beautiful. So excited. We are too. And like I said, I'm doing just tip of the iceberg. You know, I'm your typical sales rep, but anybody, you know, any type of programmer or, you know, if there's a lot you can do with it. And what's so nice is I can see the field, I can drag it, I can drop it, but yes, you can do totals and charts and calculations. You know, you can have calculated fields. It can be very expansive, but it can also be very simple for those little simple things that you're like, I need this information. You can just create it and send it. Any other questions? Okay. Well, like I said, I'd love your feedback. It's, you know, we've got 3 customers that are kind of testing it and kind of banging on it just to make sure it's doing what we need to do. When we do deliver it, we'll be adding more reports that we deliver it with that you can modify. But my guess is you're going to spend most of your time creating new reports. And like I said, if we do something custom, it would be easier for us to do a custom report with this tool and just give it to you versus, you know, doing it from scratch. Okay, well, I've got that it's, oh, looks like I've got another question. Suzanne, is there a printout or access to this webinar for some staff that couldn't sit in? Yes, couple of things, Suzanne. I'm recording it so you can get to it. I've also got another one that I've recorded that's a little shorter, or they can attend on August 1st. So, and we'll be doing more of these. So, absolutely. So, several different ways for them to see it, or I can even just do a one-on-one, you know, with your team. So, I can do that as well. But there's lots of ways to see this. Oh, looks like I've got one more question from Shelley. When uploading to Excel, does the subtotals upload as a formula? I am not for sure, but I know you can create when it gets to that point, Shelley, I might have you talk with one of the developers. But I know that you can input in, you know, totals and that you can do pivot tables to create reports. And we've got some examples of those where we've, you know, here you've got tables, but you can do, you know, pivot tables to create really complex reports where you're doing, you know, calculated fields. And that was from Shelley. Anybody else? Okay. Well, like I said, feel free to email me or call me, and we'll go from there. But it looks like that's the last of the questions. But I want to thank you for your time. I know how important it is, and we're really excited about this, and we hope you guys are too. So thank you so much for your time today.